What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday video. My name is Sam, and as always, I'm glad that you're here. If you want to check me out outside of these awesome videos here on SeemsGoodMagic.com, you can always go check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/Sambuff49, where I make content every single day of the week. So, if you want to help out the channel first, just subscribe here down below, SeemsGoodMagic.com. We are happy to have you. So, I want to talk a little bit of MTG Finance today, mostly revolving around the ban and restricted list announcement happening sometime in the next week and a half or so. So what I wanted to talk about is the big question. Is Marvel going to get banned? And if it gets banned, how do you prevent it from costing you money? And how can you maybe make money on it? So two things. We have to understand first that at least on Magic the Gathering Online, Marvel is about 38% of the current metagame, meaning that about 1 in every 2 decks that you play against is going to be Marvel, which is insane. Insanity. It's a little bit more like 1 in every 3, but 1 in every 2, 1 in every 3, something like that is going to be Marvel. So a lot of the metagame has formed to beat Marvel. Things like the Teamer Energy deck, things like the Blue-Red Control deck are good against Marvel. You're playing them expecting to play against a lot of Marvel. Main deck negates have been a must. Even some people going as far as to main deck cards like Lost Legacy in their black decks just to have a shot at game 1. So it's getting crazy in the streets if you're not playing Marvel or if you're trying to beat Marvel. So what I'm going to say is this. If Marvel leaves the metagame, what kinds of things should you try to pick up? Should you try to invest in, so to speak? Should you maybe buy 100 of on Magic Online? And that's kind of where this video is going. So if Marvel's not in the metagame, is Mardu big again? If Marvel's not in the metagame, is Blue-Red bigger than usual? If Marvel's not in the metagame, is Zombies huge? So to answer these questions, I basically have to say this. Why did Zombies get pushed out of the metagame, right? In this specific set, we got a little bit of zombie cards printed. Mostly we got Wayward Servant, and we got Dread Wanderer, and we got Binding Mummy. Those are really the big ones, right? And what are those cards really good against? Well, they're great against black-green. They just outgrind black-green almost every time. At least Dread Wanderer is very, very good and helps you great against control. And you definitely have game against Mardu, right? You're faster than them. You can gain life with the Wayward Servant. You have a ton of removal and Dark Salvations and Fata pushes. What are you bad against? Well, there's really no defense against a turn 4 Ulamog. You're just dead probably more than 60% of the time. And so I feel like that may have been what pushed it out. Even playing Teamer Energy at game day, I still felt in a rough spot against Zombies. And so what I have to say is that I think Zombies are going to make a huge comeback. If they are, can you make money investing in Crypt Breakers, Dread Wanderers, Diagraph Colossuses, and the like? I think you can. Where's the most money? Probably in a card like Dread Wanderer that's still being printed right now, because Dread Wanderer is still being printed in Aether Revolt. If you buy here, when the market is, as saturated as it's ever going to be, as soon as the next set comes out or 2 sets come out, it's going to be a card that's played in black-red decks, played in Grixis aggro decks, played in mono-black aggro decks, played in black-white aggro decks. So if you can buy low here when the market is the most saturated, hopefully in the future when this set stops being printed and, there are just less of them in circulation, the price will go up. So that would kind of be my buy from Zombies. Now, if we're talking about this under the assumption that Marvel is going to be banned, what are some of the things you can do? Well, I would just liquidate my Marvel pieces. I think that something's going to have to be done about it when the next set comes out anyways. So if Marvel's going to be worse after hours, then why don't you just liquidate all your Marvels? Liquidate the Marvels, liquidate the Ulamogs. I mean, nothing else in the deck is of absurd value. Maybe 6-mana Chandra's climbed a little bit. You can get rid of that as well, although the return on that's probably not huge. But definitely get rid of those Marvels. Now, what happens to a card like Torrential Gearhulk? Well, blue decks are pretty good against Marvel. Pretty good. Now, do blue decks get better? Yeah. Now, what you have to understand is that the things that are good against Marvel, things like negates, ceremonious rejections, aren't necessarily what's good against green-black energy, or Mardu, or Teamer Energy, or Zombies, right? And so in trying to beat Marvel, you kind of lose to the rest of the metagame a little bit. And so what I would say is that there is going to be able to be a dedicated control deck in a deck full, or in a meta full of mid-range and aggro decks. But it's really hard when that meta is dominated by a combo deck to then also beat the other 60% of decks, which are creature decks. Because you have to have game versus Marvel, but you also want to have game versus the creature deck. So what I would say is definitely Torrential Gearhulks from that list. Now, if we go to Teamer Energy, I love Glorybringers. I think it's a very powerful card. It's going to fit in a lot of decks. 2 red is kind of hard, but 2 red on turn 5 is way easier than 2 red on turn 3 or turn 4. Also, a lot of the decks that are going to want Glorybringer are going to have green cards in it. If you're playing green, you get a Toon, and you get Aether Hub, so it's kind of it's easier there. What I would say from Mardu is a little tough. I think it's just Fatal Push. I think Fatal Push is great against zombies. I think Fatal Push is great against black-green. And I know that they're like $10 or whatever, but people thought it was insane when they were 6, and they're not being printed anymore. So I would go Fatal Push. I would take a Flyer and some Dread Wanderers and some Torrential Gearhulks probably. Let me know what your buys are down in the description down below. Now, let's talk about the banned and restricted list for a second. I think Marvel's going to get banned. I think even dating back to Emrakul, I don't think they should have banned Emrakul. I think they should have banned Aetherworks Marvel and made something legal like a Tormund script. But making a card legal that's not in a standard current like legal set is probably not something that they thought about or something that they considered doing. So what I would say here is Marvel's probably going to get banned before anything else. They want to make these huge creatures. They want to print things like Bolas. They want to print things like Ulamog. And so what I will say is that I think Marvel gets the ban hammer before anything else does. So if you have Marvels, I would probably get rid of them. But anyways, let me know what you think about that. Also in the comment section down below, we can have a great discussion about that as well. So thank you everybody so much for watching today. I will see you next Wednesday for some more standard magic. So see you then. Thank you so much for watching.